Good afternoon, traders. All right, so it's been a minute since I did one of these videos. I guess I'm due at least to go over some of the charts that I've been posting on, kind of summarize everything that I've been posting and tell you what it means for the end of the year and into the holidays, as well as the beginning of the next. Of course, there are some important items that a lot of the market is holding their breath for. One of them is government shutdown. I think the deadline is tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, actually, probably tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Uh, so we're waiting for a deal to be struck on that, and because there hasn't been any, because the can hasn't been kicked down the road, so to speak, it is definitely weighing on this market. So we're going to do this video with that in mind, and I'm going to give you potential scenarios on both sides. Should we not get a government shutdown, or should we get a government shutdown? I checked Polymarkets about 2 hours ago, and I think there was a 56% chance or something that we would get a government shutdown. That would not be good for crypto markets, any markets really. Everything that I have been expecting prior to Christmas, in other words, another altcoin run shortly before the new year, that would not happen if we get a government shutdown. It might happen to some degree, but not like I was expecting originally. Anyways, that is the news today, and that is what the market is currently anticipating and waiting on. So without further ado, let's dig into these charts. There we go. It's been a minute since I did these videos, and my hotkeys don't always work when I want them to. All right, so here we are on the dollar chart. All right, I'll start with the dollar because that's where it's at least here in the US. You can see we had the completion of this W pattern. I anticipated us to go up to somewhere around 106.5, and we in fact went higher than that and are still going higher. I think part of the reason for that is the 25 basis point rate cut. A lot of investors and traders were uneasy about that. Why are we cutting rates when we don't have inflation under control here in the US yet? Does this mean something else? Does this mean that Jay Powell and the Fed sees something coming that we don't all see? This is a little unnerving for traders and investors. And so that kicks up the VIX, that kicks up the dollar. And when the dollar and the VIX are up together, it's not good for the markets. And you can see we had a big old spike in the dollar yesterday, and the dollar is still rising. If I jump over to the VIX chart, you're going to see here that we had a big old spike on the VIX. I think we were up, I mean, when I looked yesterday, it was like 75%, and we're still rising today. Usually we're down here in this rectangle, which we've existed in outside of a few spikes here and there for the better part of a year and a half. All right. So now we've got another spike, which brings us above this 21 level. And so again, dollar up and the VIX up would mean that our markets are down, jumping to the SPY, which is generally what I track here. And you can see we had a big drop yesterday from target number 2. Along with that, what's interesting is my indicator here, which I've crafted with the help of AI assistance, coded with AI assistance, gave us a red dot a few days ago telling us that we were going to have a drop. And sure enough, it's always on cue, and there was our big drop. Now, I was anticipating prior to seeing this red dot, actually over here is where I first anticipated we would drop down to our purple support line. We started dropping and then boom, went right back up into target 2, and then we got the red dot, and now we're dropping. Now I still think we can come down to this 563 level, but that's going to mean that the government doesn't actually work out a deal. That means that the government shuts down for maybe a few days. Maybe this is what this is telling us, all right? The dollar up, the VIX up, the market's down. There is this potential that we could have a government shutdown, and that will weigh further down on these markets. All right, not to confuse us any further, but we're getting a little bit of conflicting data from our NVIDIA chart. Of course, NVIDIA being part of the Magnificent Seven, huge market cap. And anytime NVIDIA goes down, the market generally follows. Anytime NVIDIA goes up, the market generally follows. I mean, it's the accumulation of the Magnificent Seven, right? But NVIDIA plays a big part in it. And the conflicting data part comes in here because I've got a green dot, a buy signal on NVIDIA. And that was just yesterday, or actually just today. I think I got it yesterday, and then it repainted itself, and now I've got another one today. Telling us that it might be time to buy. However, look at this support here, this white support, this trend line. We are right on that today. So maybe conflicting data, maybe not. Maybe we continue to stay on the underside of this previous support, now resistance, and maybe my signal indicator repaints itself once again. Remember, I don't necessarily trust my indicator unless it paints these dots within a liquidity block. All right, so I've coded it so that we have these nice liquidity blocks here. And like, so for instance, right here, this is a solid indicator. All right, I got the red dot inside of this liquidity block. That is almost a 96% chance for sure that we're going to drop and make some serious cash. Additionally, see this green dot here inside of a liquidity block. Again, 96% chance we are going to make profit here on a long side, and we did. All right, so I like to see these dots inside of a liquidity block. There is no liquidity block here. So again, along with the fact that we are right on that, I guess we call it resistance, right? Because we've been on the underside of it for the last couple of days. And the fact that we are not inside of a liquidity block lessens the surety of this indicator. Otherwise, I would say it's conflicting data because it's pointing to the fact that NVIDIA, this is a buy and we should buy NVIDIA. But I'm not going to bank on that until we know the outcome of our government shutdown, which should be 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. All right, so we continue to watch that. Now let's move on to our crypto. And one chart I've been posting a lot about is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, something interesting has happened. First of all, this is a very bearish wedge. All right, and then we had a head fake here. We went above the wedge instead of to the downside prior to going to the downside. So first we had this head fake and we went to the upside. Bitcoin got even more dominant, and then we dropped, and we dropped rapidly. And look at this, guys. Remember what I was talking about, my green dot being inside of a liquidity block here. Here we've got that again, and sure enough, look what happened. We have just come back up to retest the underside of this bearish wedge, which we lived inside of for the last year and a half. Not only have we retested it, but we're actually going inside of it again, which kind of scares me a little bit. It means that it is potentially indicating that we could get this government shutdown. because Bitcoin dominance would be sure to outshine altcoins at that point, as always. If we just tested this and then drop back again, which my red arrow there seems to indicate we would do, that's what I was expecting and anticipating, then I'd be a little bit more confident for altcoins. But right now, this is telling me that Bitcoin may hold the ground here while altcoins continue to bleed. So let's continue to look at some more data here on our charts. All right, jumping over to total 3, I'm seeing a better sign here. All right, we don't have a green dot, we don't have a buy indicator, but we do have this bullish wedge, this descending wedge, which is bullish. If that is a correct pattern, one to be adhered to, one to be followed, then we are currently near the bottom side of that triangle and should head up. This is good relief for the altcoin space. So watch this pattern closely as well. Of course, not all patterns are followed, and I might not be right on this one, but watch this closely. If we do go up on this and break to the upside of this descending wedge, then the Bitcoin dominance, jumping back to that, this candle here will probably bleed down and come to the underside of that before the close of the day. Or maybe we can look at this on a weekly basis and see something else as well. All right, weekly tends to be more accurate for the long run, and maybe we're just poking into that. Remember, you do have to get confirmation on the re-entry into this, which would mean another candle opening and closing inside of this wedge. So tomorrow, again, is the true factor, and that all lines up with our news regarding this pending government shutdown. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin here real quickly. And Bitcoin, of course, is dropping along with the rest of the market. And I want to show you something actually on the 15-minute chart here. I'm going to jump here, 15-minute. All right. So on the 15-minute chart, you can see we had a head and shoulders pattern. All right. That's drawing in black. I'm going to make that white in just a second. All right, so head and shoulders pattern, and we are right at the target of that head and shoulders pattern right now. All right, so we've reached the target of that 15-minute head and shoulders pattern, and I don't see any more bleeding for Bitcoin now. I think we hold stable here all the way through tomorrow till maybe the deal is struck or not struck, and then the market makes further decision of what it's going to do. All right, but for right now, Bitcoin is definitely holding much stronger. That's why Bitcoin dominance is up than the altcoins. Last chart I'm going to take a look at is another one that we've been tracking quite a bit. And that chart is Solana. I apologize for all the chicken scratch on the chart there. Ignore much of that graffiti. I'll make heads or tails of it here in a few minutes. But the reason we have been tracking Solana is because, as I've mentioned, those of you who have been reading my post, the cycle rotation in the crypto space is different this year. In the past, it started with Bitcoin. Then we know it went to larger cap and mid-size altcoins. Then it went, at the very last, a quick pump in the small cap altcoins. Well, this year we have meme coins, all right? What I have been noticing is that Bitcoin will start to pump first. Sometimes maybe meme coins pump first. Specifically Solana chain meme coins and Solana, all right? And they will either pump simultaneously. Sometimes some meme coins pump before Bitcoin. Typically what happens is Bitcoin pumps, then Solana and Solana-based meme coins, then AI coins will pump. AI is a big, of course, tag word this year, and as well as should be. AI is a very powerful tool that is being utilized in many different ways. And so AI Meme coins will then pump, and then we have meme coins from other chains will begin to pump, followed by the OG classic boomer alts. All right, we'll have those pump very last, but certainly not least. As we've seen, we've had some massive pumps. Look at XRP, for example, all the way from 50 cents to whatever it's at today, $2 and some odd cents, and that happened in just days. All right, so there's definitely I don't mean to disrespect the OG altcoins. They will print cash just like everything else. But this is the rotation that I'm seeing. So the reason I'm here at Solana is because if anything pumps next, it will be Solana and Solana-based meme coins from what I have been observing. And so you can see that I have this inverse head and shoulders pattern drawn on the chart here. Now we've gone down a little bit further than I expected. Actually, if I'm going to tell you the truth here, which I'm going to do, see the wick of this last candle? That was actually flushing me out of my leverage trade, my leverage long on Solana to the penny. I think leverage trading is just not for me. It happens every time. I mean, literally to the penny. I can't tell you how many times that has happened. So that being said, I'm done with leverage trading for a little bit until I get the itch again, probably. All right, back to what I'm talking about here on this Solana chart. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders pattern. Again, that right shoulder a little bit deeper than what I'd like to see. Some people may just see this as a cup and handle, this head here being the cup and this downside channel being the handle. That could be as well. If that is the case, we are at the bottom of this handle. All right, I wouldn't expect us to go any lower, maybe tomorrow a little bit, but I believe we're near the bottom of this handle. All right, so this is telling me that the market is right on the fence right now. Again, everything hinges on this government shutdown. If we get a government shutdown, probably a lot more liquidation will occur. Massive liquidation in this market, as everybody is long right now, and we're still long. Most of us are still long, and we should be. We shouldn't have to. It's unfortunate that everything hinges upon these idiots in our political places of authority. But that is the way it is in this reality. All right, so until we get a decision on that government shutdown, the market will be depressed. Tomorrow is going to be a big day, potentially, unless we get some news today. Tomorrow will tell the story going into the Christmas season. Now, what I was going to say in that regards is if we don't get that government shutdown, before the Christmas, I would expect Solana here to pump next along with Solana-based meme coins. And that pump will occur all the way through the holiday season, through New Year's. And then I think once we get into mid-January, that's when people will... typically, the way it works, a lot of times what I've seen is we start to get some sell-offs into January and February, all right? And then what happens is the market depresses enough for tax purposes. Big institutions, corporations, and whales even will sell at a depressed price just so they can mark a loss on that particular trade or investment. And then they'll buy right back in. All right, so we'll get something like that occurring. There'll be a lot of volatility sometime before tax season. I don't know when that's going to occur. I haven't analyzed that far in advance. I'm just telling you what I generally see occur. All right, so if I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. And we'll talk to you in the next video. Peace, y'all.